Creativity isn't chaos, it's discipline. It's entering flow on command. And Nick Onken has turned that into an art form. He's the creative mind trusted by some of the world's most recognizable names. Justin Bieber, Chance the Rapper, and Somerhalder, Usher, not just for his photography, but for his ability to capture identity at its highest expression. Nick has spent years mastering what most only imagine: how to generate world-class creativity without waiting for inspiration, and how to design a life where your work becomes a mirror of who you're becoming. Today, we get into the rituals, the mindset, and the systems behind creative mastery. Welcome to the Alpha Renaissance with Nick Onken. Something too that I find really, really interesting about you, right? Like you're this photographer, artiste extraordinaire to the stars, right? You've captured Tom Hanks, you've captured Nick Cannon, Chance the Rapper, so many people that people would just dream of even meeting. And you get a couple of celebrities. I think many photographers will be happy with that, but you seem to get all of them.
Kind of handful.
You kind of get quite a bit of them, man. How did that happen? Like, when did you start?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to kind of the earlier years of, when I started my photography career, and I was a graphic designer, and then I picked up a digital camera to shoot for my design work. And then I just really fell in love with it. And then I convinced a nonprofit design client of mine to split the expenses on a trip to Africa. And that was where I really I experienced the developing world for the first time, and B, fell in love with photography and was like, wow, people pay me to fly around the world and take pictures. This is wild. So that kind of, fast forward that, I ended up coming back home, and I connected with another photographer to do website updates for him. And then eventually he was like, I kept bombing him with the questions about photography. And he's like, oh, maybe you should just come out and hang out with us on set. So I went out, hung out with him, he invited me to assist him. So I started assisting him for a while. And then that just really opened my eyes to the actual commercial viability of photography, that it's actually a career. I had no idea you could actually make a career out of that. And so that was very inspiring to me. And so I just started building a portfolio. And a couple of years later, I got a call from an ad agency, and they're like, hey, I'm, producing this job for Nike, and I got your name from an art director here, and we'd love for you to do a shoot. And he's like, oh, it's like, we wanted you to shoot Ben Roethlisberger and Brian Urlacher and Torrey Hunter, Albert Pujols. I'm literally writing these names down because I had no idea.
Right, Urlacher is my man, by the way. He's a legend in Chicago.
He is a legend, right?
I love him. When I see his face, especially with his new hair, I'm so happy for him.
I love it. So as a sports fan, you appreciate this. So yeah, that was my first big job. And that's kind of paved the way, but then it still took a couple of years before I actually saw another job that was of that size. And then I started shooting with, I did a couple more jobs for Nike down in Latin America. And then around 2009, I connected up with this, I was wanting to do another charity project. So I just randomly asked a friend, I was like, hey, I'm looking to get involved with a charity because I want to give back. I want to use my talents to be able to better the world as well as making money. But so he was like, oh, my friend Adam Braun he has this charity that he just started, and he's building schools for kids in the developing world. And I was like, oh, that sounds dope. So he connected us, we had a beer, and he was like, we totally jammed. And he was like, well, we're just getting started, so I don't have any money to pay you, but if you want to come to Laos in December, you're welcome to come, but I can't pay for you.
Wow. I
was like, I'm down. So I bought a ticket and flew out there, and we just traveled through the jungles of Laos and photographing the kids at the schools, and just kind of getting a really good start for branding imagery for that charity's brand. And that was kind of the start of this whole space. And a year later, I was hanging out with Adam, and he was like, yo man, check it out, my brother found this kid on the internet, he's going to be huge one day, his name's Justin Bieber.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was like, never heard of him.
Like, just who?
Yeah, but no, this was like when Justin was nobody.
Yeah.
And but he was like, Scooter is his brother, Scooter Braun.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, he's like, he found this kid and he's like building his career. And then a few months later, a year later, like Justin just blew up.
Wow.
Like, that's when that Never Say Never movie came out.
Yeah.
And then Scooter blew up from that movie as well. So all the while we're still working with the charity. And then, once Scooter blew up, he was just so hard to get on anybody's radar, or anybody to get on his radar, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Adam, he was like gonna introduce me, but then never really happened. And then one day I get this email out of the blue from Scooter's email. I was like, what? He's like, hey Nick, this is Adam. I'm on Scooter's phone. We're in Guatemala right now. It's my brother's first time seeing the work on the ground, and we'd love for you to come down.
He's visiting Adam's.
They were both
fundraiser.
Yeah, they were both visiting the schools in Guatemala.
Yeah,
so they
at
that point they had opened up Guatemala as well, and then Ghana was the third country. So he was like, "We'd love for you to come down. We'd love some photos for us for the charity, and all that." So I ended up flying down a couple of days later, and just hung out with them for 24 hours. Went to all the schools, took some photos, and then became friends with Scooter. Wow. And then that kind of opened more doors, and then a few months later I met Justin through him, and then he ended up connecting me to shoot Justin in Zurich for Motorola it was just like an advertisement
for probably like what did they have, like the Chirp phone or like the
it was one of those like flip phones back then. So yeah, flew out to Zurich, and that's where I shot Justin for the first time. I met him in LA like earlier, like over Christmas. I flew down to hang out with Scooter, and then we went and met up with Justin in the studio and went to a Clippers game with them. And so yeah, that's how I kind of just things spawned into that world. And then from there, just like, that opened more doors. Ended up meeting Usher and a few other people.
Yeah, I saw some of your photos of Usher, and I was like, this is just amazing. I mean, at first off, you started to do something that you had really no background in, no clue, no expertise, no formal training.
Yeah.
Right. And then you did it for free. And then you didn't really know where it was going, but you kept sticking with it, and you get your big break.
Yeah.
All of that and you never asked for $1 in between. You were actually spending money.
Yeah, I was definitely spending more than I was making.
Going to Laos.
I was. Well, at that point, I started making more. But when I was around the Nike time, when I was shooting for Nike, I was like literally living in a basement in a house for like $300 a month. Making one plate of spaghetti last for like a week. Yeah, and that's what I was eating. And then any money that I got, I would just put it back into my photography gear and like put it back into building my portfolio, because your portfolio is like what gets you work. So that was what I just was focused on building and building and building and building.
Everyone that I've had here sit across the table that are great at something, I never really saw them as people that were financially motivated. Of course, they wanted to be rewarded for their work, but they were deeply focused on their craft, just deeply embedded. They really loved the craft. They loved what they did. Whether that was the actual science behind it or the product that they received at the end, that they created at the end.
Yeah.
Where were you? You were what part of it did you love the most? I mean,
I just loved the actual act of creating and taking photos. It was just so fulfilling. And yeah, it's still something I love this is still my favorite medium today. And it's like, I think I just love doing it. And, obviously I do my own projects, my own art projects to do it, and I do it for free, just to have my own full creative control over something. But, it's now turned into a full business, and, it's different than it was 10 years ago as well.
Absolutely. So, how did you feel when you got your big break, when you were saying like, hey man, I'm actually about to shoot Justin Bieber, and you had, he was about to blow. He had just blown.
He had just blown up.
He had just blown up.
Yeah.
So like in your mind, like, did you feel like, oh my God, like I made it, I've done it?
Yeah. I mean, I would say like the first time when I shot that Nike job, I was like, oh, I'm in. I'm a commercial photographer. Like I've got it. Like now the jobs are just going to be pouring in. But really, it was like 2 years of crickets after that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, what's going on? Like I had to like kind of reassess things, but just keep pushing forward until I got more momentum. And then, you know, shooting Bieber was probably another like few years down the road after that. And that was kind of like, okay, that was that at that point I'd already started shooting a lot more commercial work. I had gotten an agent in New York. I was shooting Cosmopolitan magazine, Coca-Cola, like a bunch of these. I had a big agent in New York as commercial photography agent. And so at the point that I got Justin, that was like, just kind of like, okay, yeah, it was like, he was the biggest celebrity, you know, and it was, I was shocked. I was like, okay, this is huge. So I've worked with him probably 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And to get into that mode of shooting him, did you already have a practice? Like what, or did you just pick up your camera? Like, did you formalize how you would approach shooting at this point?
I think I had a pretty good approach to how I like to shoot. And, you know, I'm always learning new things, but I think as you shoot, the longer you shoot, the more you develop a style and kind of approach. And so I think the first piece was just, I already knew I know how to use the camera, so I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about what the settings are, things like that. It's really focused on, I use natural light as much as possible. That first job I had to bring in an assistant because it was a full studio setup.
Yeah.
But I've shot him other times where I shot him at his house one time. And that was just me and him. Mm-hmm. And I just brought my camera and we just kind of shot around in natural light. And then I did an album cover with him and Cody Simpson. That never actually, they only released one song from that whole album. It was like this big thing, and then they killed the whole thing.
Oh man.
Which is a bummer, except for one song.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think my favorite still is portraits of people. Yeah. And, you know, I do that a lot now with personal brands. So I'm using, it's kind of always been the same approach, you know, really build a rapport with people, and then kind of observe their gestures and how they move and how they what their kind of aura is, and then guide them and direct them. But a lot of times I kind of just let them be them. I'll give small directions here and there, you know, if something's not working or I want them to do something. But I think some of my favorite photos are the most in the moment, where they are who they are.
Yeah. You focus on this concept that I thought was really cool called creative alchemy. Yeah. And from what I understand, you focus on the identity of the person. Yeah. And you try to bring that out naturally or more exaggerated.
So I created a process called identity alchemy, which is, it's how do you get to the core of who you are and then tell that story through visual expression, primarily through photography. But it's kind of the process that I take people through when I work with a client one-on-one doing a photo shoot. I'll really have them fill out a form that kind of lets me get to know them. And then we have a creative call and we'll go over that form and be like, okay, what's your priorities? It's like your kids or, you know, athletics or whatever that is that is truly them. We pull all those things in from the locations, the props, the wardrobe, and then create concepts around that tell their story. So really pulling that, what's their identity, and then how do we really tell the story of that identity that they're showcasing. So that alchemy is really the space of congruence through, you know, showing who they truly are to what you're actually putting out into the world.
Interesting. Yeah. When I heard that concept, I immediately thought about the book, The Alchemist.
Oh, I love that book. Oh, it's so good.
That book, I mean, isn't it a great book?
It's so good. I mean, Paulo Coelho is just...
It changed my life. Oh my God. How old were you when you read the book?
I mean, it was probably, I think I've read it a couple times. I think it was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. The stories that he has in there about, you know, this boy, spoiler alert, this boy is going on his vision quest, basically. He's leaving home. He's trying to get to the pyramids, and he faces all of these obstacles, but they're not obstacles in a typical sense, right? He goes to places where he has the chance to be a chieftain, right? He's respected by that tribe. He's going to get married to the girl. He has everything he wants and he will be content, but he still had that desire to go to the pyramids, and he almost forgot about it. But then he meets the alchemist, and it's revealed hey, you need to still stay on track and follow your dreams. And when I heard like the your creative alchemy, that touched my heart, man.
Yeah,
like
thanks.
it made me feel what you were doing, because it's a journey.
It is a journey. And I think there's like this concept that I've been like, it's like following the thread of magic. Because magic is everywhere, and it's like the universe just leaves you these breadcrumbs, if you're actively creating with intention, but also like following the curiosity of where that's going. Like I feel like that's the alchemy. Like that's the alchemy of the alchemist.
Yeah.
Right. And it is this forward motion that lets life unfold in such a beautiful way.
Where else do you get your inspiration?
I mean, I love people. I think I love interesting people, whether it's a celebrity or a tribal kid in Africa, or I was like, I'm wanting to do this photo project. I've been all over the world doing photography. So it's like, I've been all over, from like Antarctica to like Nepal. And I love seeing different types of people all over the world.
Yeah.
We met this tribe in Peru this last year. They were at the medicine ceremony that we were in, and they live up in the mountains above like 15,000 feet, and there's literally no technology. There's no time. They don't even have watches. They just go by the sun. And so I'm like really curious to do a portrait project there. So I find just different cultures so inspiring.
Yeah, man, that's like one of the reasons this whole Alpha Renaissance was started. It's like those people are people that I admire, right?
Yeah.
We live in a world where there's just so much noise, there's so much distraction, right? And on your iPhones, but it's not just that, right? It's everything. It's just so much mass media all the time.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of hard to be the person you're meant to be the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're all a little bit hacked, right? if you're looking at ads all the time, do you really want that cheeseburger, or have you seen the ads so many times that you don't care? You're just submitting, like, done again, put the cheeseburger in my mouth, right?
Yeah.
And like you go to these places, like a Peru, and see these people live how they've been living, like anciently, but still conscientiously.
Yeah.
It's admirable.
Yeah, I've been really fascinated with ancient technology. I've been really kind of into this ancient future thing, because there's so much wisdom in the ancients, and especially in the Eastern nations.
Totally. Well, they had breakthroughs that we never had. Like they had breakthroughs that we are not even aware of, right? Like of course, like the ancient Egyptians and all the things that were lost with that civilization.
Yeah.
Ancient Greeks,
Oh, completely.
It's amazing, like the stuff that they were doing, how they were able to calculate time and and measurements.
Yeah, ancient, such like technologies that have been suppressed and shut down.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. I have a friend and a client who's a quantum physicist. His name is Nassim Haramein, and he's like fully adept in all, like he's got the mathematical codes for all of this stuff.
Wow.
For anti-gravity and zero point energy and all these things, and this technology is real. And it's all, it's like this stems from like Egypt and all this stuff. He's got these things they're called the arc.
Wow.
Arc crystal technology. They're all it's like coherent technology.
Get out.
They have it come in a form of a necklace, but they also have these clusters of like 64. And he took the cluster to Egypt, to the pyramids, and there was no joke. Like when he was in the pyramid, they activated the pyramids, and there was this beam of light shooting out of the top of the pyramid. Yeah, he's got pictures of it.
See, and people get crazy about aliens. They get crazy, they're like, hey, you're nuts for believing it, but how are we really nuts? We don't know. We just don't know. There's so much stuff out there.
I mean, the universe is so big. Like,
it's so big.
How are we the only things that exist in the universe? Can't be.
Yeah, it's very self-centered to believe that, we are the center of the universe, and that all these other, as far as the eye can see, as far as a microscope can see, as far as a radar can detect, we're the only thing that is alive. And I mean, it doesn't even mean that they're like 7-eye aliens, right? I mean, it could be slime somewhere that's it's a bioorganism. I just don't believe that we're alone.
I don't
believe that.
I don't either. And especially with all these ancient, like Egypt and Peru and the Mayan, Mexico and all these like sacred sites that are unworldly.
Yeah.
There's, I don't think that they were built by humans necessarily.
Yeah, man, that would be a great project for you to brand some aliens that come.
That'd be fun. I like that.
They come in town. They want to like disguise themselves as human. You know what I mean? Do a little creative alchemy.
I mean, you never know. Maybe they are.
Oh, maybe. It's definitely a lot of aliens rolling around.
Yeah.
You've been in this game for quite some time. Then, how has branding changed?
I mean, branding. I would say the biggest shift is it's become so much about the personal brand now, more than actual brands. I mean, brands are important. Like, you have to brand yourself because that's the only way to stand out in such a noisy world. But the rise of the personal brand has become so big now because you look at the big personal brands: Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, like the founders of these companies. People almost know their names more than the actual companies. Yeah. So I think there's this big surgence of people because people connect with people, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the big branding move now is to have the personal brand, especially as the founder of,
you said something
of any
interesting.
sort of company.
That was you said that in a noisy world you have to make yourself known. It's kind of crazy, right? Like in a noisy world, you have to be even louder.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, maybe it's not necessarily louder, but it's different. Being uniquely you, I think is the big piece. We just had a masterclass we were teaching today, and I was teaching how like branding, your brain is a pattern recognizing machine. So branding helps your brain to make quicker decisions one way or another about a product, a person, or whatever. So branding helps. It's like an aid into helping your brain make decisions. You're walking through a grocery store, and like I like to eat healthy. So my partner and I were in New Zealand. We're like going through this basic grocery store, and we're trying to find the like one healthy thing in the whole grocery store.
Oh my God, New Zealand is that bad?
It's pretty bad.
Really?
What's interesting is, side note, is like all of or anything that they have that's organic, most of it gets exported. So like all the food there, a majority of the food there, it's really hard to find anything like any good like clean product.
What about the Wagyu? The fake Wagyu that they make?
I mean, most of yeah, exactly. I think it's all exported.
No.
Yeah. And I don't know how organic it is either.
Wow. I would have thought that it was just, they have a pretty good supply of organic food and just, they're pretty health conscious.
Yeah.
Those things would be readily accessible.
You
seem like such outdoor, like healthy eating, conscious lifestyle kind of folk.
Yeah, you would think.
But I've never been there, by the way.
It's not as much like that as you would think.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very odd. Anyways, back to the brand. We were like, okay, because we super healthy, and we're like, that's all we obsess over, like healthy snacks and healthy stuff. And we go into this grocery store, and it's like this sea of like just so much color and so much like basic stuff. And we're like, where's the healthy thing? So we were looking for the packaging that actually looked healthy, right? Healthy snacks have kind of a certain aesthetic. Like health brands have a certain kind of more clean aesthetic, more organic aesthetic. And so we found like this one thing that looked like it. So like our eyes just went, psh, and that was like what our brain was looking for, was that aesthetic, because we associate that aesthetic with health.
Green, I'm sure. Was it green?
No, it was actually like a, kind of a white. It's very simple design. Most of the, you look at like Doritos and all these big brands are just like so flames, all over the flames and all this stuff. Well, this is like, a matted package with like very basic, kind of clean design. So it just helps your brain make a quicker decision. So and that quicker decision could be good or bad, right? If somebody's trying to decide on you or somebody else, your branding plays a big part of that.
Yeah, I see a lot of companies seem to be disguising their branding as personal brands, in the sense of using personal brands to promote who they are, but also taking a step back, because I think there was this counterculture movement for so long that was like, it is about the person, it's the rise of the individual. And it was, it was pretty cool to listen to a podcast that was on someone's phone, and like it costs, $50 to produce, right?
Right.
And that was the counterculture for some time. And then, say for example, bigger brands, they jumped into the game, but kind of sneakily, right? Like, supporting, like, still being behind these smaller podcasts or smaller media outlets, but they were disguised more so just as calm, individualistic.
Yeah, it's harder for like bigger brands to come into the personal brand game. I mean, unless they have a big founder like Elon Musk or something like that. So yeah, it can kind of feel like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
What can people do? Because there is a big interest in personal branding, right? And like a lot of people have realized that the internet is not going anywhere, right? You have to be someone in real life, and you have to be someone digitally. And often people don't consider you a person in real life if you don't have a digital brand.
Yeah.
So like, how does someone that new to branding, how do they even get started?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like what I would call like a trifecta, the authority trifecta, where you have the aesthetics of the brand. So when somebody lands on your website, that's your real estate or your Instagram, or, it has like a high level aesthetic, high level photography, high level design. And then you have service, like your quality or product, like high quality product or service, because that's also your reputation. And then content creation. So creating content, especially in these, I would say like a lot of personal brand stuff, coaches, speakers, authors, a lot of it's thought leadership. Mm-hmm. So putting content out there that's thought leadership, that's giving value to people. The combination of those three things, I think, make up a really solid personal brand. Mm-hmm. You can go deeper into like each one, but I would say that's kind of that would be the trifecta.
I mean, thought leadership is the one that I think really stands out, especially for this audience that listens to this podcast, right? Like it's finding a way to differentiate yourself and your thoughts, and finding a practice to keep that consistent, right? Like Jerry Seinfeld, he writes, a joke every day, right? Do you have any cheat codes to help you like keep your creativity level up, to keep your thought leadership sharp?
I mean, I think there's two pieces, right? I think creating thought leadership, I think journaling and writing, creating like what's your actual philosophy? Like what's the peak pillar that you want to really communicate to people? How do you want to change people's lives? Like, what do you want to be known for? Take Lewis Howes, for instance. His brand is all about greatness and rising to your greatness. Like when you think of Lewis, you think of greatness. Do you know Jim Quick?
Yes.
So when you think of Jim Quick, you think of learning, you think of brain, so like, that's kind of what I'm talking about is like, if you don't know what it is, start writing, like see what themes come through and distill what that is for you. It might take some time, but write something every day. What's your perspective on all these different things? What are your interests? What do you like follow the curiosity, I would say. And then the other piece would be to create content about it, talk about it, and I think the more you talk about certain topics, a theme will start to arise. A theme will come through of what resonates with you.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just have to find your voice.
Yeah.
Right. You have to just keep trying. You keep singing. Maybe you sing other people's songs. You see how that sounds, but you start to notice that you develop your own kind of repertoire, your own kind of skill set.
Yeah. I think that's with any craft. I mean, I've done that with a few different mediums in my career, photography being the primary piece, right? So it took me 2 or 3 years to start of just like shooting and exploring and discovering what my aesthetic is or was and is, because you got to explore to really refine it. You know, you can go explore and then you start refining and refining and refining.
Yeah.
So that could apply to, you know, that applies to the same thing as thought leadership. You know, like you explore and then you start picking and choosing of that, what you like and what you refine. And musicians are the same. Like you learn as a musician, you explore, you try different things, you see what that is, and then you're like, oh, I don't like that, or I like this, I don't like that, and then you begin to kind of like, it kind of gets more focused.
Yeah.
Did that with so I do custom hats as well, a little bit kind of more of a side hustle, fun project, you know. And I had this wide range of exploring, and then I really kind of discovered what my style and vibe is, and so like that kind of stay in that lane.
Yeah, I saw you making hats, and the stuff you sent me was just like pretty cool. Like you sped it up, but it was just like it was really cool. Those hats were nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the creative process. You know, I did the same thing with DJing. You know, another hobby. Where it's like, oh, try all these different types of music, and then you start to like narrow it down and really come up with your vibe, like your sound.
Yeah, it sounds like your creative state is like you narrow it down, you get into your flow state. Is that a flow state that you like to stay in, or is it just a mood? Like, is it just one of your moods?
I think that's also kind of like it's a mood, but it kind of depends on where you're at with it. Like say with photography, I kind of stay in the same flow state of what I like to shoot. You know, I'll explore other things here and there, different lighting, but for the most part, I kind of stay in one lane because that's what I love. You know, I think different artists may play around with different things, or if you're a fine artist, sometimes fine artists do like one collection and then they completely go off and do a different style of collection. I think it's really following what's inspiring you.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that you can maintain.
Yeah. And as we were talking about earlier, it's like as you get older, your inspirations shift, your life changes, and what I was interested in 20 years ago photographing, like I'm not as interested in it anymore. Like I'm more interested in depth and persona and culture, things like that. So it can shift as you shift. And I think that's the beauty of art, is being able to follow that and create from that source of inspiration. Yeah,
it changes. You know, I think that's sometimes where people fall in and out of love with artistry. And, you know, they'll say the artist is not what they used to be. Well, they're human as well, and they're living as well, and their life is changing as well, and they're responding to their lives and their own interests.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it should change. I think it would be a travesty if it didn't.
I think that's how it should be, because your life changes and your interests change. And like, that's part of following an artist's journey, is to follow, that's their art is the expression of who they are. So I think that's like also what's going on internally for them.
Yeah. How do you see your art changing in the future? Can you predict it?
It's hard to say. I think I'm also in a space of exploration of what does my art look like? I think for me, it's probably a different, like, what's the medium of that? You know, I think as I've gotten older, I'm doing more of this type of stuff, speaking. I'm also doing more personal brand stuff. I think I want to do a book at some point. So I think for me, like, I don't necessarily have like, oh, I see this where this is going, but I think there's some sort of like mix of transformation in art. And that could be a coffee table book.
Yeah.
That could be a whole brand in and of itself, for my brand. But yeah, it's something I'm still exploring.
Well, it's I see a lot of storytelling. Yeah. Like you tell stories, whether it's through the hats. Because when I saw you make the hat, I thought that was it was amazing. But it started off as a clear slate, a clear canvas, and it could have went anywhere. First I thought it was just going to be a cowboy hat, and it turned out to a very special shape. We'll have to clip that in and show you, but it turned to this like very special shape. And I wanted to know, like, how did you even get there? How did you even like make that hat? Like, what did that represent to you? And it sounds like that, like, story making is a big part of your personal brand.
Yeah, and I think for me, making my own hats, I'm like, what's interesting to me now? I like love doing, or at one point I was like, oh, I like putting light. I like light codes,
Yeah.
which are just kind of like these ancient future etchings that are codes from the universe, but we don't necessarily know what they translate into. There's, so it's, sometimes I'll put words or phrases on there, if it's for somebody, if I'm doing a commission for somebody else, I'll usually intake like like symbols that are meaningful for them. And then I'll translate that to how I see it onto the hat. And that could be different etchings onto the hat. That could be, some are more distressed, some are more clean. So yeah, different colors, different patterns, different textures.
Yeah. And in your story making process, how do you keep that voice? Like, do you have practices to maintain your voice away from all of the noise, away from distractions? Because I feel as though, especially with your work and especially being multi-talented in different spheres of creativity, that voice could get jumbled.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of goes back to what would I do for myself? And also kind of goes back to what we were saying is like creating a style that is distinct, that becomes more distinct. In photography, my style is very distinct in and of itself. So I think sticking to that is what helps stay away, helps cut through the noise, is having something that is, a specific aesthetic or a specific way of telling a story, and really honing in on that and getting better and better and better at that one thing versus getting distracted by other things.
Yeah, man. It's I think about that often when I'm working on like this craft, right? Like this has been a creative journey for me, just starting to podcast, right? And it started off with many different iterations, right? At first I wanted to do just like focus on healthcare and anesthesia and AI in healthcare. But as I started, it started out pretty wide. And as I started to talk to people, I started to realize what I actually wanted to talk about, right, and what I was actually good at, right? And then it would be, the types of individuals that I wanted to talk to, like who would I actually find interesting? Yeah. And that started to resonate. And then it kind of just distilled my guest pool down. It was easier to find guests because I know exactly the type of individuals that I could sit across the table from, and just like, yeah, man, let's talk about anything.
Yeah, you start to as you do more of it, you just start to see what you like, what you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And then at a certain point, you're like, oh, now I have a brand, I have a style. Your brand is kind of really the distilled essence of who you are. So as you do your podcast, it's like, oh, this is what it's becoming. And this is what I like to talk about. And this is how, when you come to my podcast, this is what you're going to get.
What kills your creativity? Is it killable? Is it anything that is your creative kryptonite?
I would say what kills creativity is too much consumption. Getting caught in doom scrolls, which I do, which we all do, right? I think that's one piece of it. Because just staring at the blue, I'm realizing how much when I'm staring at my screen for so long, my brain just gets
completely, yeah. The ability to focus is what I find. I had my phone out actually when I was coming here, and it was just on Twitter. And the Twitter, so everybody, it's the TikTokification of all social media, where they've all figured out just play videos right out in queue, right after each other, just video after video after video. And they kind of figure out what the algo figures out exactly what you're into at that moment. And it just keeps sending it to you.
It really does.
And I had the phone, I brushed my teeth, threw on some clothes, got in the car, and the entire time my phone is just out. It's just Twitter video after Twitter video after Twitter video after Twitter video. I'm in the car on the way here, Twitter video, they're still playing, and I'm just thinking, I was like, wait a second, usually I listen to music. I kind of do my own little green room in the car, get pumped up before I jump on the pod. And I realized my mood was a little low right before I got here, so I just kind of stayed in the car, listened to some music, cut the Twitter videos off. But I was just like, man, the consumption is brutal.
Yeah, you'll be like, yo, what am I doing? You have to consciously snap yourself out of it because it's a trance.
That point. Yeah, it's really getting to that point to where you don't even feel in control sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and they do these. There's some of these deeper studies on how blue light is part of like that, the control system, because it really, like, if you're staring at a screen for so long, you just become like this zombie eyes. And I think that's part of that's a lot of it's the blue light mixed with the algorithm hooking you in on every single one of them. But got to get out in the sunlight a little bit more.
Yeah, man. I saw this guy, Tristan Harris. He talks about how to detox from social media and how evil social media and a lot of tech is. And one of the things he recommended a long time ago was using grayscale on your phone. Just so it's not so visually appealing, which I'm going to have to do. But I think a part of it is, if I'm being completely honest, is the addiction is fun.
It is fun.
And if I think a part of me is afraid that if I grayscale it, then I won't have as much fun.
And then you'll put it down. That's the whole point.
And then you'll put it down. Isn't that silly?
Yeah. I think it definitely is training. It's like a discipline to really be able to step out of the trance more and more.
Yeah.
We did a medicine journey last year and the year before, and we took 10 days off, no screens, which was amazing. And we just were in this retreat in the mountains of Peru.
Wow.
And by the time you get back to your screen, it's like a foreign object.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Bizarre.
And then 10 days, just no screens. Was it a silent retreat as well?
It wasn't silent.
It like plant medicine?
It was we did 5 ceremonies in 10 days of plant medicine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was deep.
What is that like? I keep hearing about these plant medicine retreats.
Have you done any sort of plant medicine before?
No.
I mean, psychedelics are definitely, I think they're game changers. They're life changing. I've done quite a few different types, but this was ayahuasca with another medicine called the Tree of Light, which is like the higher, it's the great grandmother teacher of ayahuasca.
So DMT is totally different than ayahuasca.
So ayahuasca has DMT in it. Ayahuasca has like a slow release DMT, but then there's other DMT. There's like 5-MeO DMT where you smoke it and it's like super fast, and that just sends you straight to the stratosphere of the universe and back in like 30 minutes. Whereas ayahuasca is like a 8-hour burn over it's like a burn over 8 hours.
And is that the one you take that you vomit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's, if you're going into more of a personal development space, the vomit is more purging. You're getting rid of dark, stuck energy in the body. And so you want to get it out, and the ayahuasca psychologically will take you to places to heal trauma and to sometimes that means it's making you experience it again so that you can see it from a different angle. It's pretty wild how the medicine works.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you actually are receiving a benefit where you've done it 5 times in 10 days, but where you feel as though you're getting to the core of something?
Yeah. It's given my mind a whole new, all these different journeys have given my mind a whole new framework of a whole new blueprint in relation to identity, in relation to the universe, in relation, it's a very spiritual experience as well.
Interesting.
I never really would have thought how spiritual, people you have these really profound experiences that's only you can only experience it. It's like a knowing, it's a gnosis. Michael Pollan talked a lot about this too in his book, How to Change Your Mind, which was the book that I read that really turned me on to that world, the world of psychedelics, because he's a scientist. Yeah. And he went and tried all these different medicines and really discovered the profound spiritual connection that you tap into on these things.
Yeah. Conceptually, I understand it, right? We're a bunch of chemicals, right? A bunch of molecules rolling around. Yeah. I know it's, some people believe there's a lot more there, but let's just say we're chemicals. Our experiences in reality are in our heads, right? They're real, but like what we feel, the emotions, the trauma, the healing, the joy, the excitement, all of those things are in our heads, which in my mind are also chemicals, right?
Yeah.
And whether you're enthusiastic about life or severely depressed or somewhere in between, plant medicine reinforces that these things are all in our head, right? Like they're in a way they're all controllable.
Yeah.
And I do see that as being, for me, is very empowering. So I completely understand that aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, our whole world exists. Our whole reality is in our head.
Yeah.
It's just a sensory experience. All our 5-6 senses just giving us a picture in our mind of what we're actually experiencing.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's and because my dog isn't having the same experience,
Right?
Like a tree isn't having the same experience. Like it's just earth to them, right? A dog is just seeing squirrels. He's not like, oh, I'm depressed because I didn't catch a squirrel today. It's like, it's at least I don't know.
Yeah.
But with that, I do like the idea. I mean, I know some people think that it's just a bunch of people getting high, but I think that actually takes away from it.
Yeah, I think there's two pieces. There's you have drugs, which are people getting high. That would probably be categorized more as like heroin and cocaine, and which are more damaging to your health.
Totally.
And then there's psychedelics, which are more, I would say, psychologically medicinal. There's a lot of research out there that even showing how mushrooms or psilocybin and I think it's a couple other, even ayahuasca, can help treat addiction. So you're not actually, you can't get addicted to psychedelics. They actually help treat addiction.
Totally. Yeah. There's a lot of good research on that, actually.
Yeah. A lot of great research. And I think, it's a really beautiful path.
Yeah. I mean, again, addiction there's a physical aspect of addiction, and then there is a psychological aspect of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of promising research saying, psilocybin specifically helps you detox, help you fight that addiction.
Yeah.
Which is, especially in this day and time, it's highly needed. Especially, and I'm not even talking about heroin addicts. I'm just talking about like our type of addict, which is a phone addict.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is a whole different type of addiction happening now, and I think it's the hijack of attention.
Totally. I mean, this experience that I had right before I came in here, I'm shooting a podcast about maintaining your agency in a world full of distraction. And on the way to shooting as the host, I felt like I was in a portal. Like I had been transported, and it was just so stuck, like on my phone. I couldn't believe it. It was just insane.
Yeah, it's so addicting.
Yeah, like what you said too reminded me of when you come off of this plant retreat after 10 days and you haven't looked at any blue lights.
Yeah.
Right? I felt like that when I came back from boarding school, right? I've been in the Middle East at boarding school.
Yeah.
And I was coming back right before the summer. And so I had this whole year there, and I remember coming back home, and I'll never forget, it was like Monday Night Raw, like WWF or WWE wrestling. And it's theatrical, right? There's fireworks, and I couldn't watch it because I haven't watched much TV in a year.
Wow.
Right? Like there were TVs there, but I didn't have a TV in my room. And so I barely watched TV. I listened to the radio, which sounds crazy, but like it was hardly any TV. But when I came back to America, one of the first things I remember feeling was just super overstimulated.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
And this is just with TV. There was no, there weren't even, I think we were just getting flip phones, right? It's like early 2000s.
Yeah.
And the flip phones were grayscale. They weren't color. They were just like a Nokia.
Yeah.
Right. And it was so jarring for me to come back, because it was just so jarring to be in this environment where you were just being marketed to nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah. Constantly. And that's how we are now too. It's just like so full on. My buddy just did 49 days of darkness.
Oh,
he went to a darkness retreat.
A darkness retreat.
Yeah. And he was literally in darkness for 49 days.
Is that good for you?
I mean, I mean, he's okay, but like, I don't know. I mean, I've heard, I think there's a limit on how much you can actually stay in there.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine, you know, he said he went through so many different cycles of emotion and grief and identity and all these different, it just stuff surface because there's no sensor. You have nothing, no sensory input.
I mean, how did he feel? What was his number one realization that he came out with, if he shared that with you?
I mean, I think it was really just a complete reset off of everything, processing stuff that he didn't even know was there, you know, because there is so much distraction in the everyday world. He was sitting with himself and only himself with no sensory input for 49 days. And, you know, I think that is where the stuff comes up. It's like, what's real, you know, what's important, what's not important. I think that. Well,
you don't have that feedback. You don't have anything to put you back in line.
Yeah.
Right. It coming from, you know, whether it's your family or whether it's a text message, like you're just in the dark, literally, and it's just you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think I could do it, but
I can understand. See, for me conceptually, I understand reset from a hobby standpoint. Like my hobbies do that, right? Whether it's, you know, snowboarding or kite surfing or diving, whatever. It's something about putting yourself in an environment where you have to focus on the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't allow you to think about, you know, what someone said earlier or something that's due or an email or anything. You have to focus at the task at hand.
Yeah.
You're completely disconnected from everything else, right?
Yeah.
And that I understand, because for me, that helps me reset.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, getting into a flow state.
Yeah.
I think that's huge because you're not getting hijacked by a phone.
You're not.
You're in a moment of creation.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know if I could do it for almost 50 days.
Right. Yes. I agree. I could not.
That's a long time.
I don't think that was necessarily a flow state. I think that was just a very intense thing to put yourself through.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think he learned a lot from it.
Yeah.
I think he gained a lot, and I think he's still putting the pieces together because it was so big.
Oh.
So powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see, you know, I can see that how you can add that to your practice of staying focused, of staying in your flow state. And, you know, other people might find other things that resonate with them, and that's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like kind of getting out of the, like doing different things that are out of the normal routine to just keep breaking it up. And if I'm sitting in front of the computer for too long, go do something else. Or if I have a stint of like being at home in front of the computer for so long, I need to take a trip. I need to go, you know, that's why I love going out and doing photography, you know, because it gets me out, it gets me completely into a different
That's something that
space.
I didn't expect as a creator, to really find myself in this journey where I'm on the screen all the time. If it's not my phone, it's the laptop. Whether you're editing or you're looking through content, you're looking for inspiration, you're making content, you're just in front of a lens and a screen all the time, which I would say is for a person that enjoys just being out. Like I can't even work at home. I have to go somewhere else, just like even if it's a coffee shop or what have you. That was jarring, and I was. How do you guys do it?
You mean sitting in front of a computer, or?
Yeah, just sitting in front of a computer and being able to reset, like not on a daily basis. Like when you say, for example, going to a retreat is not available, just what practices do you have? Tell me your secrets, because what practices do you have to just kind of stay on task, even when you're getting emails, you're getting text messages, and like all these things are popping up on your phone or on your screen, on your monitor as you're doing work. And if you're new to it, that's pretty freaking distracting. And like, okay, let me think. Oh, what's my rule to cut it thirds? Like, what am I trying? Bing, bing, bing. How do you stay focused with all your editing?
I mean, I can't say I'm like the best at staying focused when I'm actually in front of the computer. It's more, I think I'm trying to get to a place where I'm building out enough systems to where I can spend less time in front of the computer.
Yeah.
But when I'm in front of the computer, I focus on one task, and then I'll be doing a couple different tasks at one time. I think that's just how I work.
Yeah.
And then I like to get, now I'm realizing I need to get outside and like just charge up in front of the sun, like just staring at the sun for a little bit.
Yeah.
I do a cold plunge in the afternoon typically.
Very good.
Mornings I do a meditation. I walk. I'll go to the gym 3-4 days a week. So I think just kind of building movement and different things into my day. I'm trying to like stretch more too now. I'm realizing like that's
very important.
As we get older. Yeah.
I spend at least 10 minutes stretching before I work out, before I do any weightlifting.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a life change. I don't know. I was sitting on a chair. I was in a surgical case. I was doing anesthesia and I was just sitting in a chair. It was a stool, and I usually don't sit in a stool. This is a very lazily, like very anesthesia comment I'm making on my chair. But I usually sit on the chair with a back, but it was a stool, and I got up and my back was hurting, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the most this is the most anesthesia injury like ever in history. Like the wrong chair hurt my back. And I was thinking like, man, I'm going to have to start stretching before I go sit in my chair.
Yeah.
It's crucial though. It helps so much.
Yeah.
Like, prevent any injuries.
Yeah. Stretching is huge. I've just started. I'm like super excited because I'm going to China in March to do a month of Kung Fu training.
Oh, get out
in the mountains with the Shaolin monks.
No.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to document this.
Yeah, I will definitely document some of it.
Are you going by yourself or with a crew?
I'm going by myself.
Oh, wow. Very sick.
I've just been like wanting to do martial arts, and I was like looking at like which one resonated with me the most, and I'm half Chinese, and I was like, well, let's go to the roots.
Yeah.
And I just started kind of like diving into it, and so that's kind of where I'm like the stretching is a huge piece of it.
Yeah.
Because you have to be very, very flexible to be doing a lot of this stuff. So I'm putting that into my practice now, so that by the time I get there,
I mean, we did. For some reason, I don't know, it was all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies in the 80s, and then that kind of bleeded into the 90s, where everyone was focused on karate. Everyone loved karate and Kung Fu. Yeah. So me and my siblings, we took Kung Fu, Wushu, Taekwondo classes.
Oh, nice.
I had a moment in time where I was obsessed. Like I literally would go to Chinatown and buy ninja stars, nunchucks, sai. I wanted all of the weapons that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had.
That's hilarious.
But Wushu and Kung Fu were the ones that resonated with me the most.
Yeah.
So much of an art, like doing the forms. I mean, the breathing techniques and Tai Chi, of course, like those, I mean, fundamental, man. I think you're going to have a killer time out there.
I'm excited. Because, we learn like all that Tai Chi, all the stretching, all the combat, everything. It's like a full range.
Yeah. So well, next time you'll have to do this podcast with a blindfold.
Yeah, right. I mean, that'd make for an interesting podcast.
Yeah, it would. Maybe I'll put a blindfold, but I'll like be peeking through. Like, but it'll be our first darkness retreat.
The darkness podcast.
The darkness podcast. Right? Where can people find you?
I would probably say Instagram at Nick Onken.
Okay.
Onkensworld is .com is my website.
Cool, man. This has been awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Sharing your experiences, sharing your knowledge with us. Man, you're one of a kind.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
Next time.
Absolutely.